info. We've got over 200 hands. They oversee bet flop, so they're going to be folding here a bit. They barrel enough. Yep, I just call. The fact that they're c-betting like over 90% in an over 200 hand sample, they just are going to have too many bluffs. If I raise, they just like fold out everything. So I don't mind taking it down. They have some tendencies to bet later streets. And I'm just going to continue to bluff catch. And we just have the fives. Nice hand us. So we got pocket kings here. Money bubble. 4 to the money on this 1650 25K. No acciones. We're going to go for a limp jam. 25 bigs with the ace 10 offsuit. Blind versus Jesus 30. Jesus 30. What do we know about him? Nothing. Except that they're likely a casual player if they have snap check on in the big blind. Blind versus blind. Or we can make some assumptions when we see that. I don't know if you pay attention to stuff like that, but we just called small blind and this player is snap checking. So that means they had clicked the button. Professionals don't have snap check on there. That said, I'm definitely going to barrel and just try to get them to fold a jack or an 8 on the river. I'm just going to jam the river most of the time, I think, versus this player. Ooh, we hit our hand. Cool. Neat. Now, considering that, I'm not going to jam. I'm actually just going to try to... No. I'm going to jam. Maybe they'll make some calling mistakes. Yeah, I'm going to jam. Higher chance like a casual recreational player makes more hero calls here, I think. I want to target it at, like specifically to get called by a jack. I also kind of want to go max value in some spots. All right, we have made it into the money in the 25K. We got jacks, 18 bigs. What's up, Tuffy? Cheers, brother. Happy Sunday. Good to see you in the streets. Ketonius, I busted in like the first 5 hands. You had an earlier exit than that? What happened? How'd they get you? How'd they get you? All right, good turn card for us here. We're feeling much more confident about our jacks now as the turn pairs the queen. Make the call. River ace. I don't think that they're just bluffing like ace 10 or like ace king on the turn. Ace king gets it in pre-flop. They jam here with a sketchy river as well. I blocked some of their bluffs. They're just going to have a queen here, actually. Yeah. Now I fold, even though I do feel more confident about my hand. Like some of their bluffs, king jack, jack 10. They're not going to have here now because of what I have. So I'll fold it in the 1650. Nice hand. Nice hand, nice hand. Regardless of whether you have it, it's still just a nice hand. Actually, unless you wanted me to call you, then maybe it's less nice of a hand. But even so, it can just be a good hand. You know, get that max value, boo, right? Shot at a booty. We're going for it with our suited queen 8. Live cards. We need a queen or running diamonds. Queen only. Only the queen would give us the booty. All right, I'm going to check raise this flop. Lots of good turn cards for us. We did make a loose call pre-flop calling in the small blind. When they jam, I do sigh a little bit. If I want to gamble here, I can. It's still deep into late registration, and I am gonna. We're actually ahead. But not by the river, not by the river. Fairly committed to the big blind. I'm aware of that if they get it all in. King Jack suited in the 215. We raise. Big blind defends. We are going to continue. Continue. Call check raise. Nice, let's go. I'm goated. One of our horses for today. Has 938 in bounties already today. Just KO'd Stormer Blasner. What do we got here? Club, big blind, call. I'm sorry, this one right here. We raised the queen nine offsuit, cut off, big blind defend. I think I gotta start betting. They snap call, and now I'm trying to value bet. I gotta go bigger size, I think. 3/4 on the river. Bigger? No. And they called with the 8, so they knew we'd be bluffing there sometimes. I am glad to see it. Glad to see it. We pick up a nice pot there, 140 bigs. Loose overcall in the big blind with the queen deuce suited. Check bet. I am going to, I think, attack here. If I want to, this is a good one to do it. Like, I want to raise. I think they're just betting here a lot. What's their versus probe? Don't know. All right, don't need to get too cheeky. I want to give me a reason sometimes. Thanks for all the love there on Twitter, everyone. I got a big hand in the warm-up. Good luck us. There, we're in the small blind. There's a late position open, shorty jam. Tons of dead money out there. We got ace queen right up at the top there. All right, we need a heart or an ace. No good. We're gonna lose to the king jack. All right, down to 20 bigs in the warm-up. Green felt means in the money. First cash of this Sunday, 1650, 25K. We've got 10 bigs. We're short stacking it right now. That sucks, Ketonius. So you went out the first hand, holy crap, with nines, flop a boat. Yeah, that's painful. Very, very painful. Defend big blind with the jack eight, flop a pair backdoor, straight draw, flush draw versus a bet. Call or raise? Kind of like the idea of, I like both. I actually like both. I like the idea of getting like king 10, random like king X, queen X hands. I like the idea of getting them to fold, check raising flop, other whatever other random stuff they might have. I would imagine the book wants a call though, just pure. And am I going to bluff here? Versus them, they have some bluffs. They bet the river a bit. I think Brazilians overfold in this spot. Not to this one. Snap call with the ace. By the way, rightfully so. I don't think a lot of people go check call, bet 40 as a bluff. Derbs, what up, Derbs? Welcome back. Thank you for the 21 months. Cheers, brother. Good luck on the grind to you, too. We got 9 bigs, queen 10 offsuit. We're going to defend, consider some stop and go, play on flop. Not necessarily the flop. Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It's good to see everyone. Poker RB challenge. I have to get fake hands. And I won one of those.
How did you win the competition?
What do we got here? 4th place. Oh, 1 bullet. Nice us. So about 150.
So I just got moved tables. Ryan sat, played our first orbit. He didn't go bust, which is fantastic.
Stop. Me amo Drew. Basically, you can see like what other high-level players are thinking, what they're supposed to do in certain spots, and then you can exploit that. Hello, hello, good afternoon, good evening, what's going on, everyone? Good to see you out there. Today is study stream, no delay stream, so it's good to see everybody who's already turned up. The lurkers, Anik Donk, Lashia, JR Betting, Old Irish Ginger, AMTT, Carney Prince. Oh, Carney, thank you for the 300 biddies. Let's go. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, thank you. It is good to see everyone. Good afternoon. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube as well. Thanks for chilling. All right. What's up there, Might and Magic? Excuse me. So, for everybody who tuned in last night to the stream and didn't notice yet, any of my social posts, I did end up winning last night's cash game at Rounders Card Club. It was a fun stream, good stream. It was cool. We had the Broski on there. Jeff was doing commentary with Rude. We had some big pots, and yeah, it was just a fun, smooth stream. So I hope you enjoyed that. But now today, what we're doing is we're adjusting, and we're going to be doing some of our 2024 WSOP prep. And I'm going to be going over some of my tagged hands in Poker Tracker. We're going to be utilizing GTO Wizard to get to the bottom of some of these hands and find out what the theoretical approach to some of these situations could have been, and I will talk about why I did what I did in my hands and what I was thinking, and we'll see how I can make some adjustments. We'll talk about the differences between live and online poker. And you're here, we're on no delay. So basically, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I will slow down, we will stop at certain situations. And if you are looking to study on your own, improve your own poker game, and get into the lab a bit, exclamation point GTOW in the chat to download GTO Wizard. So basically, for those of you who don't know what this is a poker solver. It's based off of math and ranges of hands that it's assuming your opponent is playing in a variety of situations, right? The game of poker, basically, it will assume situations, and based on the input, the raise sizes that we pick, XYZ, it will give us an output. It will give us an answer and say what we should be doing a certain amount of the time. It's not always just, 100% raise here. There's going to be a lot of situations that are raise, call, and maybe even sometimes raise, call, and fold, but it's going to be at different percentages. And this tool it also has ways that we could just practice. Right here, we can play versus a GTO opponent. We could pick what type of drills we would want to do. Let's just, to show you real quick, full hand deep stack here. We click this button, and then we're going to look at some late position stuff. Boom, right there. And then we start training. And then now it's just going to run us through a bunch of scenarios, and we could just rip through and then see how we do. So look, Jack 5, 14 bigs under the gun, fold, next hand, A7 off under the gun, 9 bigs, fold, next hand, 2 bigs, 10-5 suited, all in. And then now it runs out, next hand blunder. So I guess we're just supposed to fold their 2 bigs when everyone else has 2 bigs. Under the gun, 25, king 9 suited. We're gonna raise, and you can go through, and then on the left hand side here, you'll see how many hands you've done and what your GTO wizard score is. So you can even just practice, even if you don't have a HUD like I do with the poker tracker that I use to go through my hands, tag hands and everything. You can even still get a ton of value from the GTO wizard just from the training. And then you can even click over here, I believe, and study your hands. Click this, and then you could replay the hand. You could share pictures. There's a ton of cool things that you can do. Don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, but this is such an easy program to use to get better at the game. So exclamation point GTOW. And if you have any questions, like I said, up until I leave for the WSOP, which is going to be about 3 weeks or so is when I leave. Every week I will be doing these study streams. So make sure that you're following me on my social medias. I'll make posts about it. I will schedule my study streams about a week in advance so that you can set aside time and then join me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. What's up, Chuck Nola? Good to see you out there, buddy. What's up, Pistol Pete? Hope you're having a blessed day as well. What's up, Bye for Lex? Yes. Trying to educate and share my poker experiences with you all is important to me. It's fun. And it's like, we're kind of, outside of things we have outside of poker. Even that though, still, a lot of us were just kind of sharing the journey, man, So I hope you enjoy. Thanks for tuning in today. And let's get into it. So I was trying to decide where I wanted to focus my studies today. Oh, also, if you want to use Poker Tracker 4, exclamation point HUD in the chat. This just gathers my hands while I'm playing online, and then I can organize them and study them in different ways. And these tags here on the left of these hands are when I'm playing, if I'm kind of unsure of a spot, I want to study it later. I have several different tags. You can see this little shark, this little money bag, the question mark. I use these different tags so I know what part of my game I want to study, pre-flop, post-flop, all-in situation. And then I go through and I review them here. So these are my most recent hands, and I decided I want to look at the big blind. I'm doing, I would say, above average in a lot of the other situations, quite easy, but it seems like I need to lose less from the big blind. All of us were going to be losing from the blinds. It's really just a matter of, can we manage those losses, right? So this is a situation that we come across all the time playing in the big blind. And, you know, we already got a blind out there. We're going to be facing a min raise a lot of the time. It's just a situation where we just gather a large sample of hands. So we're going to focus on that again. I think that can be the most impactful for our game with 1 month to go before heading out to the WSOP. And also, ACR has the OSS XL series going on. It starts this Sunday. So basically this month too is a bunch of big ACR tournaments leading up to the summer WSOP. So, you know, how can we put something together, grow our game, and be able to utilize it here pretty right away. What's up, MCKB? Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the stream. What's up, Deluxey? So how do I know I'm above average? So looking at my big blinds per 100 here, my sample isn't huge on this poker tracker, but basically you see these positions right here that are in green. This means that I'm winning chips over this sample in the HUD. And then you see the red backgrounds that are on small blind, big blind. That means that I'm losing here. Right, so like I think 8 big blinds per 100 is really kind of good. 10 big blinds per 100 tournaments, I actually I don't really have a range. I wouldn't be able to give you a range of what like a good big blind per 100 is, but in these positions here, the reason I say above average is these definitely seem to be on the higher side. My EP seems like it could be low. I don't really dig into these stats much, so I can't really give too solid of an idea, but I do believe losing in this sample the 29 big blinds per 100 in the big, it just has to be a ton of room for improvement, right? Carney, WSOP LA appearance? Maybe, I mean, it's close. I'll be on that side of the states. You know, definitely could be a possibility. All right, so let me see here. Deluxe, you know what? I wouldn't be able to say which I prefer, big blind per 100. I just know that when people talk about situations from those who are much more understanding on that statistic, they use BB per 100. I never hear anyone talk about EVBB per 100. So it just doesn't seem like I would want to focus on that either if no one's utilizing it. I couldn't tell you the difference between the two, you know, what to look for. I can't really utilize that to have any sort of higher conversation. Personally, me. All right, so here we go. Here's the first hand that I have tagged, and these are all from, let me see. Oh, wait a second. Oh my gosh, this is from, wow, this is from last year. These hands, let me see when, hang on a second. I had my thing sorted weird. I'm going to replay all hands and reports because these are more recent. I don't think that we've gone through these ones. Let me see. Okay, hang on. Okay, yeah, I don't think that we've gone through these ones. These are from the 21st, is this right? Okay, so these are semi-recent. Let's see. Deluxey, by the way, if you go through, if you do utilize those stats, I'd be curious if you'd like to share how you better your game by digging into some of these non-common stats. Let's think just regular population of people. Like, how would you utilize a stat like BB per 100, EV BB per 100, and then where does that backtrack you to better your game, you know? Let's see. So we have here a hand. Mr. J-Bay, is this, did we go over this one? I don't think we did. Let me see here, because I don't want to go over hands that we've already looked at on the last stream. Okay, I don't recall going over this one. Let's go ahead and check these hands out. Do I prefer playing in person or online? I actually just got asked this question last night when I was at the club and the poker club. And I like a mix of probably 50-50, I would say. I grew up playing online and came up in poker through online. But since 2021, I started to put more of an emphasis. I even started doing live poker vlogs. So I made myself get off online and play live. And I really have grown to love it, and it stimulates me differently, especially these days. So I like a mix of it. I feel like I don't want to just play online or just play live. I always want to be back and forth between the two. What about you, Lashia? That's a good question, Carney. Let me get through this hand and I'm going to come back to that. So don't go anywhere. We're going to dig into that, okay? The difference between premium and elite, because I'm going to have to dig in. And for those watching this stream back or even watching it now, I want to get into a couple hands and I'm going to get back to that. So let me rip through this. I want to see what you guys think. So we defend big blind with 7-8 suited, 30 big blinds deep. They bet and I call. And then check, they bet again, I hit a pair, and I decide to go all in. Okay, so let's see. Well, what happens with them, I think, is less relevant right now. I'm not going to click forward. I'm just going to keep it here. What do you guys think of this play here on the turn? The check jam. It feels like if they're bluffing here, the value of me getting it all in is denying them equity when they have king 10 and king jack and maybe jack 10, hands that would raise pre here, bet flop, bet turn, because I'm not getting an ace to fold, right? So what's the value of me going all in? And in the event that they do have an ace and I end up getting called, like I'm trying to get a bunch of folds here, I believe is the primary function. And then the secondary thing that's going to happen is when I do run into an ace that they're never folding, then I do have some insurance. As long as they obviously don't have a full house, I have the insurance of my diamond draw. And maybe if they happen to be a player that bets a queen here twice, then now I can get them to fold some weak queens potentially. Maybe they have like a queen 9 suited that they might fold, maybe a queen 10 suited. I think king queen suited, especially if it's clubs, is going to be just people aren't folding it. So yeah, let's see if this is a good play, because honestly, before I even saw myself jam, my instinct was, I definitely felt an instinct and a pull to just call. So I would imagine this is, and this is what the studying is for now. This is actually exactly, in my opinion, the strongest, one of the strongest things that you can take away from studying here and just feeling this is having more certainty over, oh, okay, which should I feel like I'm on the fence here about, like what I like. I have one instinct going call, I have one instinct going all in, and calibrating that and figuring out, okay, so where should I kind of set my radar here? Should I be mostly looking to call, or should I be mostly looking to jam in this situation, right? And then depending on whether or not I'm playing live poker or online, I'll adjust that slightly, I would say, depending on my opponents, because live poker is definitely different than online. Let's see. Yeah, there's definitely a adjustment from online to live, and I can definitely get bored easier. It's weird. It kind of depends, because it's a different stimulation now for me between live poker and online. Like sometimes live poker is too slow. Sometimes it's the perfect stimulation, and online can be a bit redundant when I'm six tabling and it's kind of a lot of the same decisions with no players, so that there's no like, oh, this person looks different. Oh, I wonder what this type of person is doing, you know? All right, so here we go. The action is in, and it has, so what I want to look at here, the low jack double barreled turn in this example. And then I went all in. So let me click our actions here now, and with the 7-8 suited. So here we go, 7-8 of diamonds. Yep, it basically just wants us. Okay, so solver here just wants us to call 100%, does not like the jam. So with that said, what I'm curious about now is since the wizard here is telling us to call 100% in this scenario where I chose to jam the turn, check jam. All right, now, and this is a fun part of solvers, I think. For some of us, for some it might not be, but now we have to figure out, it's a puzzle, right? Okay, well, if I'm supposed to call here 100% with the 7-8 of diamonds in a situation where I defended big blind, check call small bet on flop, and now faced with like a 3/4 pot, a bigger bet on turn, why does it want us to just call here? And you heard my explanation of why I think there's value in jamming here. Like I said, getting the king 10, the king jack, which look at this. Let's see, I'm sure king 10, king jack are betting turn like this. And look, they are for the big size too. So look at this, this purple here. When you see these colors, for those of you who are newer to the GTO wizard or solvers, I'm gonna kind of break it down and go slow at first here, and then we'll move faster as the stream goes on. But this purple here, this color is over here. The key is bets 6.65. Now this is a pot of 8 big blinds, if you're following my mouse here. So you can see this is a bigger size bet. This is a 3/4 size bet for this purple. And then the pink is bet 4.4. So this is about a half pot bet that it likes. Let's see, let's look at king 10 suited here. So it likes the 4.4 bet about 16% of the time. It likes the bigger bet 47% of the time with the king 10. And I'm looking at the mixed ones, these top two here. Okay, because the king 10 of diamonds and the king 10 of clubs are different. We have so much equity there. But I want to look at this king 10 here. Things that have gut shots, things that I think that we would have value in getting to fold on this turn. Because it seems like the solver doesn't want us to be jamming here at all, especially with our hand. So now I'm curious about the king jack. The king jack off is betting here. And outside of the, let's see, club, club, diamond, diamond, jack. Mostly we see a lot of purple, right? We're seeing a lot of this sizing to where the function of my jam still seems to be in play because the king jacks and the king 10s are doing a ton of betting for this amount. Let's see. Now, where's the king 10? King 10 suited, same thing, a lot of purple. King 10 off, same thing, a lot of purple. We could see, look at this, a lot more checking with the queen in this situation. Wanting to get to showdown, not liking when I have an ace, not trying to bet 3 streets in this situation. Let's see. What's up, Boston Dome? How are you? You never have an ace, so he can only put you on a flush draw or a queen with bad kicker. Well, this situation pre-flop, I don't think that we never have an ace. Like, looking at this, are you not gonna just defend versus? Oops, excuse me, one more step back. Right here, you are not going to be defending any just aces here. I think we have a good bit of weak aces that we just call in the big blind here. So we're not just limited to a queen X with a bad kicker, because we could even, I think even we could have queen jack suited. We can have king queen off here. I think we have a lot of, on this board, I still think we have quite a bit strong hands, even though we do have a bunch of garbage. But let's see though, let's even backtrack now to this point and see how much weak or how strong is our queen X that we just call in the big blind here, because this is a good point to make, Boston Dome. And then how strong is our ace X? Like how many times do we hit this board, right? What's up, what message? How are you, buddy? Good to see you. What's up, Kristen? How are you? Says, now you actually have a hero call against those hands you're talking about, king 10, king jack, jack 10. So I like the call on the turn. Yes, so that's another good point. So as far as what Kristen's saying is, my story here is that I'm getting the king 10, king jack to fold, the jack 10. But let's say you did decide to just call, as the solver is suggesting. You definitely have to be aware that your opponent, if they jam on you on this river when you just call, your opponent is likely going to have to fire the king jack and king 10 on the river, and you will be able to just call them down. But I think you also have to put in your mind that, like, oh, I'm gonna have to call them down when all the draws miss sometimes when you take the check call line. So it's very much so chess, kind of. We're calling this turn with a decent idea on a lot of rivers, like what we're doing on the river. So we've already decided our river action in on the turn here a good bit of the time. So let's see here now. What are we defending in the big blind? Let's get a range up here so that we can see how much we hit this board. Okay, so low jack raise, and then now gets to us in the big blind. So let's see, Boston. Good to see you, Kristen, by the way. What's up, Mache? Saludos. Desde Argentina. Hola. Probably fire again. River. What's up, Johnny Esper? Can hover over your seat so I can see your basic stats. I'm wondering about your population. VP, you can keep talking. Okay, cool. Johnny, you want to see... I don't have population stats up on my HUD, but if you want to see mine, I can show you what my stats... If you want to see here, this is 227,000 hands. And my basic stats here, the VPIP PFR 3-bet, 26, 18, 10. Kind of dig it. You know, that's not easy. My fold to 3-bet, 49%. It's indifferent. You don't know. You're flipping a coin whether or not I'm folding to a 3-bet. I'm not over folding, not under folding. Let me see. Limp 3%. I feel like in today's game, I could have more limping in here, honestly. I think it would be cool to see a well-calculated 5% limping strategy in here. Not overly folding to c-bets. Not overly c-betting. Some people might argue for a higher c-bet. I think that's more of an older thing. With the way people are defending better and things like that. I think even some of the, if you remember trends, if you follow them and like the high rollers and whatnot, it has in recent years started to become cool to kind of just like check flop a lot more. I'm not saying I'm doing what they're doing, but I think a higher c-bet could have been much more profitable for sure, like years ago, but it's less profitable now. But yeah, anyway. Those are some of my basic stats. All right. Yeah, cheers, Johnny, no doubt. Thanks for the question. I appreciate everybody's questions. That's what this is about. Even though I want to go through hands, I also want to interact with you all. So if you're watching this stream back later, ahead of time, and we're not here, definitely try to get to the streams when they are live so we can have this, because I think this is a huge part of these streams too, and I love interacting with the community, hearing what you all have to say. I'm not the poker expert, even though sometimes I'll kind of talk like I'm teaching and whatever. I'm sharing my experience and learning along with you all. I'm just trying to be the quarterback of this, you know. Okay, by the way, Carney Prince, I'm making a note now. I'm not going to forget your question. Elite versus premium GTO wizard, okay? Carney, okay? So we will come back. I don't want to forget that. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is what does our big blind defend range look like here? And then how often do we hit this board? All right, how often does our opponent have to worry about us hitting this board? Let's see. So the low jack raises and then it folds to us in the big blind, and we are calling just so much stuff. So here, ace, ace, queen with the diamonds. We are not folding any aces, but when we don't raise and we just call in the big blind, right? This is what it looks like. Okay, so we are the only aces that we should be three betting out of the big blind here at a 30 big blind stack depth. Ace, king, ace, queen, ace, king, ace, queen. I mean, there's going to be some, I'm showing you the calls, but that are like pure, like 100%, like all the time, is ace, king, ace, queen. We're just calling ace, jack suited, ace, jack off, ace, 10 off, like all the ace, x suited, all of the offsuit stuff at a frequency, folding it sometimes, as you can see in kind of the breaks in these boxes versus the full boxes, which indicate 100% frequency. And this green color is call. But here's the rainbow of the full strategy here, like what hands we should be going all in with are these orange ones in the big blind, having 30 bigs versus an open. And then here's a non all in raise. That's these hands. So right now though, since in this example we just called, how often we just have it all the time here. Look at this. We have so much ace X in this hand that our opponent cannot just mercilessly punish us on the turn, which probably, so now this actually, knowing that we have all of these strong hands here still on this board, if our opponent is conscious of that, they probably shouldn't be double barreling us on the turn quite as much as maybe we would think. But I also am the guy who's going to find the double barrel on the turn, that said, because it is still true that when we see this board and we just called in the big blind, our opponent can know that we likely do not have, we just don't have ace king, we don't have ace queen, and the best ace that we can have here is going to be ace jack, which is still a pretty strong ace versus a raise in this position. And the queens, let's see. So as far as the queens go too, Boston Dome, we should be calling all the queens. This is not raising, so this is just call all of our suited queens, just call the majority of our offsuit queens, even though the queen 4 off, queen 5 off, queen 6 off, like those lower kicker hands, of course, are not going to be able to stand facing a double barrel on the turn. And then even on top of that, just to wrap a bow up here, now look at all these hands as the turn comes in 8. Now all the jack 10, jack 9 has draws that we have. Yeah, we do have a bit of this. Our opponent is repping pretty strong. So now actually think about that. How often do we think our opponent should be folding on this turn? And we're gonna find out here. We're gonna find out. Nice, Boston Dome. I'm glad you enjoy the streams, and shout out to the lurkers out there. What's up, Danang? Thanks for the follow. Welcome to the stream. What's up, Chris Buzz? Good to see you out there. All right. Well, it should be connected to your name, Chris, though. I see you're talking about your stats. So even if other people use your computer and they're playing on ACR, it should be, it's just connected to your name, right? Like if I'm looking at my stats here and I'm playing on a different name, the bet on Drew won't show the same. If I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, right? Like these are definitely just my hands, even if Hannah used my computer and played a few hands on it. All right, now let's see how often versus this action our opponent should be folding. Is it a thing? Raise, big blind, call. Oh, I guess I'll just put this in quick, whatever. And then check, small bet. Call, turn 8 of clubs. So this, I guess, is good if you're ever not just copy and pasting your hand into GTO Wizard, then you could just go through manually and answer all the questions essentially, and then it'll continue to just give you information. All right, so let's see. And then on the turn, I checked and they bet. And let's see what my 7-8 suited. Yeah, we saw this already. 7-8 suited just wants to call. 100%. All right, but instead I went all in. Now, what is our opponent? So this is our opponent's strategy versus my jam. And what we're trying to figure out right now is when they barrel this turn and I jam, basically, are they folding the king 10, king jack, jack 10? Because I think that's the most valuable thing that we get from jamming this turn is getting high cards with some equity. And they have bluff equity too. You know, they're going to bluff us off on the river sometimes, depending on what their image is and, you know, how often we decide that we're going to end up calling. So what we're doing here is we're denying them equity of hitting their hand if we can get them to fold the king 10, king jack, jack 10, and also removing ourselves from being bluffed on the river. But I actually don't like this with like 7-8 hearts. I like this jam more because when we do get called by the ace X, we have the insurance of the diamonds here. And when we get a queen X to fold, like that's a great accomplishment, I think, as well in this situation. And again, in a situation where we're definitely going to have an ace and we're definitely going to look to check call, check jam turn in some situations. So I don't think we're incredibly unbalanced here. And I think there's a lot of function to this jam. But let's see if they are folding the hands I want. So now look at this. The function is less because it looks like from a solver standpoint versus the jam that the king jack, well, which king jack suited? Oh, this is the one with the diamonds and the clubs. Never mind. Let's go to like king jack offsuit here. Okay. Because look, king jack offsuit is just folding here all the time on the turn. The king 10 offsuit is folding all the time. The jack 10 offsuit. So what we want to happen should be happening by what I'm looking at. What's up, Mr. Dunn? How's it going today? What's up, Sir Pogs a lot? James Matthew, hello, hello. Thanks, Johnny. I'm glad you're enjoying the streams. Anyone out there who else is, you know, getting value from these, that's awesome. That's great. That's what we're here for. That makes me happy. So yeah, that's pretty cool seeing what we're getting to fold, even when they're both betting their 9-10 suited on the turn here. Like that's 2 overs to our hand, denying equity so they don't hit the jack. They don't 9-10 suited is probably for sure going to bluff the river when it bricks out. And then now we're going to again be faced with a situation where we're going to need to hero call if we think our opponent's capable of bluffing the river. But I actually, even though I think we're going to see they're not supposed to fold any of their aces here. The green means call for them facing this jam. So we already know that no one's folding trip aces on this board. So we could have told you that, right? Look at this. We're getting kings to fold who might play their hand like this. Getting kings to fold. King queen suited is folding. Of course, not the diamonds or clubs not folding. Well, the queen of diamonds is out there. So the king queen of clubs. Like, oh my gosh, I love, and honestly, I don't think players are going to call off properly versus this jam here, even with some of their queen X. I mean, if I double barrel here with king queen and some random player that's playing, for instance, 13-8-5, like super tight, and they jam here, I'm probably just going to give them credit, right, for an ace, because I don't think they have any bluffs. And then now I'm just overfolding, correctly overfolding. But thinking about the majority of people, if they're going to be overfolding versus this action, I think they will. My vibes are that people would not call correctly on the turn versus this check jam. But I do think that in this day and age, people are double barreling turn enough. So it's like better for us to jam here. Do you know what I'm saying? I think people kind of, generally speaking, population understands how to be aggressive and some cool spots to be aggressive. But then now, myself included, you know, when you got to make those big call offs where it's unlikely they're bluffing, you know, we got to be aware, man. I'm telling you, live poker players are going to be a bit behind on this, but the online poker players are starting to make those calls more often and more often. You know, even just the floor is raising a little bit, I would say, as time goes on and people do study streams and stuff. So they're better at that, but I think all of us as a whole still have a lot of room to go with like trying to find some of these like elite level calls versus the right opponents who are bluffing that spot enough. right? So I think we can still be on this side and like exploit the fact that players aren't going to be calling off here. The majority aren't, I don't think, as they should. I think we're going to get a lot of folds. So this is, I guess, an interesting hand. What do you all think about this? This hand that we've been talking about now for 30 minutes or something. It's interesting because the solver is saying 100% just call this turn versus jam like I did. But based on the studies and the things that we're looking at and the way I'm piecing it together, not trying to make my play correct, just based on all the data that I have now scrubbed through this hand from GTO Wizard, I'm making an assumption and an adjustment kind of based off population and the way I like vibe out and see things. But what do you think? You know what I mean? Does that make sense to you? Do you still want to lean towards the call here? I think a lot of people would, and I think it's totally fine. I'm not going to say, no, don't ever just call here when it's clear that it is a theoretical call. I like getting saucy here, right? What do you think though? Let me check the chat. But will Boston Dome says, but will he bet in early position with King 10 pre? For sure. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people would. Some players might be tighter and then might not have King 10 off. And if this is that tighter player we talked about, they're going to be way more nutted on the turn. Boston Dome is right. They're not going to be opening the King 10 off in this spot potentially, or the Jack 10 off. So they might not have those hands in their range. They might have a much more condensed range and stronger hand on the turn when they barrel. And that's where I think us as players need to figure out, is this that tighter player? And you do need to ask yourself that question that Boston Dome brought up, is are they actually opening the King 10 off from this position? And if it's like me in the low jack there, yes, the answer is yes. But if it's a tighter, newer player, then they might not be raising that in the low jack. They might just be folding it. So that they don't even necessarily need to be a tighter, newer player. That's just, I think, where more tighter players might exist. I think because obviously people get better, grow to be more aggressive. But tight is right, man. It's tried and true. It really is. It really is. James, I'm not sure what's for dinner. Had some steak for lunch. What about you, buddy? Okay, so Pete, let me see. A lot of people double barrel but won't fire the triple. So if a lot of people will double barrel and not fire the triple, then that makes our call on the turn much easier, because imagine you get to this situation in the turn, you defended big blind and you check call flop, and now you're facing a 3/4 pot bet on the turn. If you knew that, okay, I just got a call here and I'm going to get to showdown, they're never bluffing on the river, this third barrel, I kind of am starting to not mind calling more, because I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. You know, imagine if somebody, you're at a table and you're thinking about making this call, if you want to do right, and they go, if you call, I'll check river behind. What do you do there? Are you going to raise here now? Or are you going to jam? While there can be some, if this isn't a live thing, there can be some leveling going here, right? But the majority of people, I think, will just call here and be happy with checking on the river. So that brings more peace and more comfort, I would say, and more utility with the just call on the turn, if we knew that information, which is very cool to think about. And there's definitely people that, well, the fact of the matter is, honestly, if somebody had, like, even this, think about this, check calling turn, if we know they're not properly even just properly value betting river, right? Like, I'm definitely calling here, especially with my flush draw, but there are going to be players with the ace 7 of hearts and the ace 6 of hearts that will bet twice here and then just check behind on any river, even when the diamond or the other draws come in. They're still not trying to get 3 streets of value. Even so, you know, a lot of the time it's actually feels like it's going to be tough to bluff catch when we check call turn on the river. So it's almost like check call, check fold on the river. And that's like, I kind of like jam too for when you hit diamonds, because you know what happens here when we check call and we hit our diamonds? and this is all, I'm kind of just throwing this out there because I like to think about multiple scenarios and build them in my mind. And then when I get into these situations, I kind of already have these presets and I'm like, oh, okay. Because what's going to happen here now is we check call this turn, the diamond comes in on the river. The pot is going to be 23 blinds. I will have 22 behind. And man, I just said it. I do not like how much I think players are not properly betting rivers, thin value betting rivers and whatnot. If our flush comes in here, so many people are just going to check rivers. So then now we are forced to another thing to kind of, I think, be programmed in is when we check call this turn and hit our flush, I think we have to be really thinking about block betting river and then like betting out a third pot at least. If we bet too big, we're never bluffing. Maybe even half pot is a bit more slick. I would like to have half pot bluff on the river when I have Jack 10 maybe of diamonds or Jack 10 of whatever, and I decided to call the turn even though I'm just going to be folding it a bunch. Like what size and what I like is a bluff. I think let's look at this now. Wow, this whole stream is going to be about this 8-7 suited hand. I want to actually see when the diamond comes in, our strategy, how often now we should be leading. Have the thought in our mind that when we check call this turn here, because we have a hand like this, when we hit our diamonds, how often should we be leading out? And how often should we be trusting that our opponents are going to be betting the river, right? Let me see. What's up, Dirte? How much equity does King Jack have here? Let me see if we can get you that answer. Where are we at? We're on the all in, so I want to go back here. You know what? I don't know where to. Let me see. King Jack. I don't know where to see King Jack's equity. 29%? The offsuit King Jack? Got about 29% equity on the turn, it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly. Also, for those of you who are new with a GTO Wizard, exclamation point GTOW in the chat if you want to download it and learn with us how to get through this tool. They do also have videos, I believe, on YouTube where you can just search GTO Wizard and learn more, and on the website about how to interpret this data, because it has a lot of really, really cool stuff in here. A lot of it can go super, super deep. So for those of you who nerd out on stuff like this, man, this is one of your nerd pieces. You need to get this, especially if you play poker. So let me see. I wanted to see how often we should be leading a river. So I'm going to change this from all in big blind to just call in this situation. I want to see a just call. And then now what I'm going to do is pretend that a diamond came on the river. I'm going to make it like a stupid whatever diamond, 5 of diamonds. Okay. Now what we're going to get here in a second is how often when we hit with our 7-8 suited should we be leading the river. And it just wants to check. So you see this, it says check 100% with the 8-7 diamonds. When the river comes, when we check call turn and the river comes a 5 of diamonds, our flush gets there. It doesn't even want us to lead out. Now this means if it does, obviously we hit a flush. If it doesn't want us to lead out on this river at all, then that just means it's assuming our opponent is bluffing enough, you know, bluffing a ton. So let's see what our opponent's strategy looks like. Oh, KBBQ sounds good, James. You should go to K-Pot if you haven't yet. They have 8 outs one time, correct? They have well, with the King Jack, King 10. Yeah, because they have well, they have the King, the Jack, the 10 is live versus us when we have this here, the non-diamonds. Dion Brock, K-Pot's so good. So good. So this is interesting. So what I want to see now, okay, is what is our opponent going to be betting on? Or what is it assuming that our opponents are betting on this river when the diamond comes in? Okay, so look at this. The purple, the pink, that means bet. The only thing that means whenever you're looking at this, the green just means call. The other colors are different bets, and blue is fold. But we're not, our opponent should not be doing any just like folding. Obviously, they could just check. So in this situation now, it's assuming that our opponent is firing all the aces that they have on the river. It's assuming that our opponent is continuing to bet an ace on the river when the diamond comes in here. I disagree. I'd already just explained that actually before we got into this. Is I don't think the majority of players in the, let's say, medium to low stakes, I don't think that they're finding the correct value bets here. I think a lot of players, especially players that I play against on ACR, I think that they're going to be checking behind the ace-6 suited, the ace-7 suited when the diamonds come in. You know, and this has them betting all the time. So that brings more value to us checking when we get our diamonds, because it's assuming that our opponent is just betting all of their aces, even though the flush is coming in. It's assuming that, let me see here. It's not betting the queens unless it's pocket queens full. It's not even bluffing the king jack and king 10 as much. Like, so now looking at this, you know, king jack king 10 isn't bluffing much, but it's bluffing some, which gives us a little bit more value into checking our flush here. What else is it assuming? The jack 10, it's assuming is bluffing the majority of the time. The jack 10 suited, jack 10 off suited, it looks like. See the heavy purple with this? So it's assuming when we check here when the flush comes in that these hands are going to continue bluffing. What about the 9-10 or the jack 9? It wants jack 8 to turn itself into a bluff. Look at this. It wants, anytime our opponent has an 8, it wants them to be bluffing the river. I don't think majority of people are finding that bluff in mid to low stakes. Jack 9 suited has them bluffing some. It's got some 8-9 suited. So the 8s are all turning themselves into bluffs. The lower missed straight draws and the 9 high and 8 highs that they might have, or 7 highs, it's finding bluffs. So this is really having us check, assuming that our opponent is going to be bluffing a lot on this river. And I guess they should be, right? So I'm personally here based on this information and thinking about population on like ACR and from the mid stakes down, and then mid stakes down with live poker, you know, preparing for this summer, and even just staying calibrated with like live poker and online. I don't think my opponents are, the majority of people that I'm playing against, we're playing against, are really properly value betting here. I don't think that they're finding all these bluffs. They're not turning their 8x into bluffs. They're just happy to check river and be at showdown when the flush comes in. So it's just like, I think against aggressive opponents, I will find the check on the river. But honestly, you know what I mean? I like leading the river. This is what we're talking about right now. When the flush comes in this situation, 5 diamonds we put here, how often should we, with our 7-8 of diamonds here, be leading the river? And it wants us to check all the time. But I just don't, I like a lead. I really like a lead. Our opponents with the king 10 off or whatever else, they could still jam. I think our opponents will make much more calling mistakes and just call with the queen. They're happy at the third pot. Sometimes they'll blast off if we lead river for a third pot. With the king 10, king jack that, you know, they're supposed to bluff anyway. They just bluff for more now because it looks like I'm block betting with a queen and they think they can get us full because they have king 10, king of diamonds, right? Like, that's a cool bluff. So yeah, theoretically, we would just check call this turn they like, and then on the river, we check, hope that our opponent bluffs. I chose violence on the turn with the check jam, and then on the river, I would have chose a third pot violence, I think, is what I like, is what I'm gathering in this hand. Yeah, I agree, Johnny. I think the low stakes opponents, yeah, for sure. They're going to be slowing down a bunch. Exactly. See, Boston Dome, you said if you had an ace, the flush comes in, you're going to check back the river. I think the majority of us will. But as you can see now, we really should be thinking about betting it more from the other side. But from this side, you know, I like a couple of options differently. Did we get them to fold? Oh, look at this. We didn't even get to see the conclusion of this hand. It wasn't important. What happens here isn't important. The big decision point is on this turn, really, right? So we check jam turn and got called. Hit the flush, and they had an ace king. Oh my gosh. What a fish, man. Yes. Isn't that beautiful? When it works out the way you plan. I mean, at the beginning of this hand 4 hours ago, when we started talking about it, we knew that we weren't getting an ace to fold. And yeah, we had the insurance of the diamonds, and the insurance came in. Insurance of the diamonds. You know what I mean, Chris Buzz? You understand? You get it. He gets it. All right, cool. Let's see this next hand. Wow. We went in on that one. All right, huge pot there. All right, Jack 9 suited, 44 bigs, effective. What do you like here, chat? Don't really want to 3-bet and then get 4-bet. I think I would just mostly call. Let's see this hand. They bet, just call. They barrel 6 blinds now. They've raised pre-bet, flop bet, turn. We just picked up the flush draw. What do you think? We got 40 blinds behind. The value of jamming. What better hands are we getting to fold when we jam here? What hands that have some equity are we getting to fold when they jam here? When we jam. I think we just call here the majority of the time. It's nice to have the insurance. They could still have aces and kings. Aces, kings, queens, ace, jack. There's a bunch of hands that beat us here still that double barrels. We hit our flush, we can potentially win since it's backdoor too. A lot of chips from them as well. And when they check ace jack on the river, then we don't face another bet and we're happy to just show down. Yeah, I don't think there's really too much. I don't see too many reasons to jam turn. We just call. Get there again. What is this? A highlight reel? Is this a highlight reel, everyone? How to backdoor or how to hit the flush on the river? Oh, for sure, Chris. Yeah. They were triggered after that hand when I hit. All right, what do? They check. Okay, what do we do here? This is an interesting now. Kind of, you kind of wish it was like the 6 of hearts, maybe, right? Because now the ace might slow down their king jack, jack 10, queen jack, like all those jack X now are going to check, and we are not going to be able to get value from them, even though. And also now with the ace coming, the question is, when the ace comes, did they barrel ace high? Do they have ace jack? Now they're checking river to just check call because they want to bluff catch when we have like 9 10 queen 9 queen 10. Our missed draws, or maybe some 8x that we might now turn into a bluff to try to get a jack X to fold. You know, so they probably should be doing a bit of checking even when they hit an ace here. So the question is, what is our bet sizing? Gosh, it's so nice to backdoor into this. What would I want to bet if I had 9 10 queen 9 queen 10? Those missed draws here that I know I need to bluff, try to get a jack to fold. What sizing would I like? I feel like, gosh, I feel like jam. Yeah, Boston Dome, you like jam? Yeah, I mean, what? I think jam is just the play, really. Let me think here, because, so no, we could also, what worse jack? Like, I mean, we're mostly just like bluffing here. I was like, if we had king jack, right? If we had king jack, then, or even if we did hit the ace, how do we not lose them when they have king jack, queen jack, jack 10? How do we value bet those hands? We're not trying to get them to fold if we did hit the ace on the river. Or 2 pair, ace 8, ace deuce. So thinking about that, maybe I'm kind of, if we're just trying to get them to call with like an 8x, a jack x, it's almost like maybe we're betting half pot here versus those hands. And if we bet half pot as a bluff, we're probably getting an 8 to fold, maybe getting some jack x to fold at half pot. Maybe the function of half pot here is kind of nice as well, like a good size bet. You know, will I be able to use that same sizing half pot to get some hands to fold when I've missed? Do I save some for when they have like an ace X here that they decided to double barrel, ace 3, ace 4 suited or something? You know, they're not folding for half pot. Can we get those hands to fold when we jam the ace 3, ace 4 suiteds? Let's take a look. Let's dig in. We went with the jam. Jam is nice here. You like that too, Johnny? What's up, Fisher? How's it going? What's up, Ghost? Good to see you out there. All right. Cheers, Pistol Pete. Enjoy the family time. Cheers, brother. Everyone lurkers. Thanks for hanging out. Anyone who's having to leave soon. All right, so we jammed and we got called by, I am assuming this is, do they call with a jack? I jammed. Some opponents might view this jam as a bluff, as it should. I mean, it should be, I think. You know, I like the idea of jamming with 9-10, queen 10, queen 9 here. It's just gonna get the jack X to fold a ton, the 8X to fold all the time. And then if we are bluffing here with those hands, then now we get to do this when we have flushes and we get to get max value. Like, I really do like the idea of jam. We're gonna compare and see what Theory has to say about it. Fisher, no. Oh wait, no. Hannah, if you're talking about the Rounder stream, Hannah said it was like a ladies' night in the chat. But past that, I don't know what happened with Ghost in chat. Is that it? No? Okay. Oh, no, Chris, good question. I know you're not judging, buddy. It's all good. You don't even have to, you know, say that. You'd fear scaring away the money. Yeah, and that's, I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable. And I think that's the conversation, because that's when I was considering half pot. Betting half pot here, and I was trying to think, will a half pot bet here on the river like have a nice balance or function that we can use, maybe, you know, versus certain opponents, right? Like, oh, versus these opponents who I think their tendencies are a little bit different, I'm just going to go for the standard half pot value bet / bluff here on the river. I think they're going to fold their 8X all the time, and it's not going to matter what size we use. I think that they're going to fold it all the time. I don't think that they're going to be making the loose calls, the light calls. I think they're going to just now start folding their jack X because the ace came on the river. It's just one of those players that we don't need to invest this much. If I knew here, they're like, hey, guess what? If you chose 11 blinds here versus your 34 blinds, this opponent is just going to respond the same. When they have 8X, jack X, a deuce X, they're just folding it all because the ace came on the river. Then, you know, we all like the half pot better. And I think this is definitely going to be a gauge. I think versus an opponent who I know potentially has an ace here and is never folding, I am going to jam and just go for max value because I would want to do that with my bluffs. So I know if they're going to be making a lot of calling mistakes, I love jam here as an exploit for value, right? They never see it coming. There's the back door. So we're going to see, because there's going to be a percentage. I'm assuming that the lizard here is going to be mixing on this river with the sizings. I don't think it's going to be 100% anything. So let's dig in and see. Let's dig in and see. Copy this. Upload. So we're going to start this hand from the beginning while this is loading. First off, I did bring up, should we 3-bet here? 44 bigs, small blind raising, jack 9 suited. I think we're just going to be doing a lot of calling. and then just call flop. We talked about should we raise turn. I think no. And then now we're going to go look at the full analysis and see what the suggested bet sizing in this situation is on the river. Let's see here. What's up, Never 3-putt? Ah, cheers, buddy. Yeah, I hope you're having a good day at work. All right. Raise, small blind. Okay, that it wasn't populating correctly. So let's just create this situation. Small blind raises, and then in the big blind, Jack 9 suited, 100% call. You can see right here. Okay. We did no raising pre-flop. Flop comes a deuce of hearts, 8 of clubs, Jack of diamonds. Small blind continues for third pot. So let's see, pot is 8, so right here. And then we called Jack 9 suited, and it actually does like some raising here if we're looking at this with the Jack 9 of hearts. We're seeing some pink and peach, and it likes making it. I mean, it's a notable amount of the time here. Likes seeing a raise up to 7. Now, you know what I do like about the raise here on the flop is if this is why they're trying to do it. Well, part of the reason. I like the idea of potentially, especially at this stack depth, if you don't want to be faced with a double barrel, like if you wanted to ever raise this flop because you have a good amount of turn cards and maybe you're at a stack depth where your stack can't like face another barrel and you don't really want to call down on the river for whatever reason, right? You can, I like to do this sometimes, raise this flop to buy a river is basically what the play is. Depending on how I'm trying to navigate that hand or what stage of the tournament is, I think that's kind of like a cool tool. Sometimes if we raise the flop here and we get called, like what hands are betting and, you know, calling us here, you know, the draws 9-10 suited and stuff, but sometimes we're going to be kind of value owning ourselves when they have ace jack, king jack, queen jack, jack 10. But I still kind of like the function of raising here, though we didn't really think about it in the moment here too much. Felt like a pretty easy call, and it is a majority call. It likes to call in the situation with our specific hand 58% of the time with the backdoor hearts. The clubs, it looks like it likes calling more, but still looking at the amount of calling, it's a lot of calling. Okay. And then we hit the call, and the turn was the 5 of hearts. And our opponent bet a little over half. So let's see here, Jack 9 of hearts. Oh, interesting. Look at this. So this, okay. Now we got to figure this one out. What's up, Ian Willia? How are you? Thank you. Hope you have a great weekend also. All right, Carney, let me know when you're back, buddy. So this is interesting. Look at our hand. On this turn, it wants to, with our hand, raise. Majority of the time, does not want to just call. So now we need to figure out why. Why does it love when we pick up the flush draw? I guess it's because we're not folding, because one thing that would really suck here is to raise turn to it suggests 16.5 blinds, right? It's suggesting we raise to 16.5 blinds like all the time. It would suck to raise that and then fold this turn when we picked up the flush draw. Agreed? So basically what that's saying is we should be looking to, theoretically here, based on how it perceives its opponent to be playing, that we should be raising turn here and then calling is the assumption I'm making. Like we're not raise folding because it would suck, and you don't want, nobody wants to do that, right? So let me see. I'm actually going to go down that route right now and select the raise because I want to see. Now I'm going to pick our opponent goes all in, and now we're looking to see the Jack 9 suited is calling, right? Yes. Okay, so it wants to raise turn to call off when our opponent jams with the Jack 9 hearts. Now, come on, how does that feel? That feels terrible if you make it 16.5 blinds here and your opponent jams. We're just behind all the time and we need to get there. How does that make you feel? What's up, TN Rich? If you raise there, it's less likely you're on a draw. Yeah, it does balance out some of our turn raises. I would say that, TN Rich. You know, maybe this is a cool hand to have as a bluff to kind of make sure that we're not just super, super nutty on this turn when we raise. You know, like we had twos, we just called flop. Twos or eights, we just called flop. And now we're going to raise. Or we picked up a set of fives on the turn and now we're going to raise. All right, so maybe this is a balancing act here. But I do know that in some situations, I bet if we were on like 25 blinds here, I think that it's just going to lean towards us calling, which we can look at as well. Calling and then trying to realize our equity. Let's see here, though. But yeah, so we do call. Let's go back. And then we just chose call. And we hit the ace of hearts on the river. So now we're looking at river bet sizing. I chose versus a check jam. We're going to see if this is cool or not cool, okay? All right, so our opponent checks the river, and then now Jack 9 suited. Let's look at it. Okay, so Jack 9 of hearts right here. What we're looking at, it just wants to go all in with Jack 9 of hearts. Okay, so that is good to know. Now, and that's what we chose. We did discuss the half pot. It likes theoretically to jam here. And of course, now that's also going to be connected to how it thinks our opponent is going to be calling the river. So since it likes the jam here, I'm assuming that it has our opponent calling when they have an ace here a lot, which connects with kind of our vibes of why we jammed in real time. Let's see what other hands we want to jam here. Let's see, King 6. Okay, so the hearts, of course, wants to jam all of the hearts. Okay, so we're going for max value when we backdoor flushes, especially with our queen high, king high. It looks like the jack high, these are not full frequencies. You can see this Jack 3 suited. See, because the yellow bar is small, it's not all the way across. So this is indicating a smaller percent of the time that we'd be all in. With the Queen 3 suited, Queen 4, Queen 6, we do see the of hearts. It just wants to go all in. Okay, let me see here. Set of eights, all in. Yeah, so there's just like a lot of all in. Let me see the half pot option. So about, that's about 22, so 7. So I guess we're probably right around, this is a little bit more than half pot. This is closer to a third. Let's see. So this sizing though is between the, it likes the half pot sizing here. Let's kind of average these two. About 15% of the time. It likes a 3/4 pot bet 11% of the time, and it favors just jamming this river, which is, I think, ultimately what the biggest takeaway is here. Because even this is big bet versus like closer to a third pot bet in position on the river. Just makes me want to average it out and do half pot. And then consider this 20% of the time half pot type of betting river for value and as a bluff. And maybe I might even organize this in my mind as versus a tighter opponent here. A tighter, more straightforward opponent. I'll probably, my 20% of the time, I'll just like bet half pot instead of like, oh, okay, I'm going to do 11%, 3/4. I'm going to do 10%, like a third. Maybe I'll just keep it easy. Half pot versus the tighter opponents, and then all in versus the more capable opponents or opponents who will be making lighter calls. And we need to put them in tougher spots to try to get them to fold, you know, that type of opponent. I think I'll stick for sure to the all in, along with players that I just think are going to be making primarily like big calling mistakes. They hit an ace, they're just never folding. It's just like going for max value. I think that's how I'm going to calibrate for this situation. So I do like the jam. I'm going to keep doing it. And we don't know what our opponent has yet. They have an ace. They had an ace, just ace 6, man. I mean, I think the jam too, definitely, if it's like a live poker setting, could look bluffier. 100%. How often are the majority of like live players, never mind online, this is a hand from online, but if we're versus a live player, they hit an ace on the river, you go all in. Unless they're like a much tighter opponent, like seriously, how often in your sample size have you seen them just like fold? Because you know they're showing the ace, especially if this is some sort of daily tournament or something. They're going to show the ace if they make a big fold like this, the majority of the time, because it's such a big fold to fold top pair. And yeah, I like the jam. I like the jam. I like the jam. I like half pot too. And I think I have an idea how I want to utilize both. Carney says I need the secret for not letting opponents get to the turn or river when they have nothing and then hit their 3-outer. Well, you know what the key is, Carney? Is we need to present our opponents with tough decisions. And that comes down to your bet sizing. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you choose a big bet sizing and that's going to get your opponents to fold more. Because there's situations where a smaller bet might get your opponent to fold more. And we have to kind of decipher those situations based on our opponent type, the board texture, our perceived range, right? And that's the fun in the game. And I think as far as your opponent's getting there in the 3-outer, you probably just need to be at peace with the fact that, did you choose the right sizing here? Did you give your opponent a tough decision or did you give them an easy decision? And how often are they actually going to get there? And it being a 3-outer, we know it's not going to be often. It's unlucky. That's a bad beat. But did you make them pay for it? I feel like, I guess, is how we could say it. So as long as you can find peace with that, I think it'll be easier. You'll be like, you won't even remember your 3-outers. Okay, so let's check out the next hand. What do we got? 9 deuce. Okay. Don't know why we tagged that one. King 10 off. We got to raise. Too strong to fold. Defend. Don't want a 3-bet. 20 big blind stack. I mean, I could. If I thought they were going to fold a bunch, we could make it like 5. Let's see the hand. So I check. They bet small on this board. I call. And I do have backdoor clubs, 2 overs. But I also think that I can just, you know, devious intentions. I think I can take this away a bunch because this 7-5-8 board, I'm going to have a lot of hands that connect here. I can even bluff some good rivers. Turn comes to 10. We hit top pair. We check. They check. And the river comes to 6. What do you think here? My heart wants to value bet. My heart wants to value bet. Is Queen 7 of clubs calling a shove the right call? What do you mean, Carney? Oh, wait. Oh, okay. I'm reading your hand now. Hang on a second. Yo, what up, Dan? Another one. Dan, it's good to see you, buddy. Thank you for the 88 months. Hope you're doing good. And, you know, maybe we'll see you soon, Dan. I don't know. Every time I see you, man, it's like, hey, we should eat again. I feel like this time you guys pick, okay? Let me see. What do you think? It depends. So, Carney, as far as your ace queen versus queen seven of clubs, I had less than 20 bigs shoved. They called and hit. 3 out on the river. This was day 1E. Okay. Well, I mean, if you shove and get called by queen seven of clubs and you lose, that's just painful, right? You give up on the river or jam Boston Dome, huh? You like the jam. What? So let's think about that. What are we getting called by when we jam here? What's the purpose? Are we trying to get something to fold? Are we trying to get a better hand than ours to fold? I think aces and kings continue to bet this turn. So when our opponent checks, I think that they're going to have a pretty weak range. I don't think that they're checking jack 9 if they turn the nut straight, because it's just so great to continue value betting because I have like 7-6, 8-6, 5, you know, pair plus draw hands here a lot that I'm just going to be calling turn. So when they go check, check, turn here, I just don't think that they have too much. I think they mostly have like some ace highs. Maybe they have some ace 7 or ace 5, ace 8 suited. You know, one pair weak hands they're trying to pot control. Sometimes they do have a 9x, maybe ace 9 suited that they have here. Maybe a 10-9 suited that check turn. They don't want to face a jam for all of it. You know, so they do have some nines sometimes. So if we do decide to bet, are we value owning ourselves? Are we trying to get a 7-8 suited to fold? Or a 6-5 suited that they might have opened here? Are we trying to get those hands to fold if we jam the river? I think that 2 pair continues to bet the turn. I think the only 2 pair that they really have here when the river comes a 6 that we would be trying to get to fold that doesn't bet turn is maybe 7-6. That's kind of the only 2 pair hand that I see them having or arriving to the river with here. Because remember, they're opening plus, what is this, +1, low jack here as well. So they're not going to have, you know, an overly wide range. So yeah, it's, I wonder what I did actually. Let me click in here. Small bet allows for our opponent to make the call with the ace 8 suited, ace 7 suited. It's potentially they don't raise a 9x and we save ourselves some money by leading. This is a little under half pot, right? Yeah. Maybe here we can still get the 7-6 suited to fold. Potentially, I don't think so for this bet size. So I don't think this bet size really functions well to get a 7-6 suited to fold. Again, I don't think that they're going to have the 10-7 suited, 10-8 suited, 8-6 suited because they had 22 bigs in this position. So they could have the 9-10 suited, the jack 10 suited, the queen 10 suited that hit turn and is now pot controlling. Those hands could probably call this turn bet. Ace high is not going to be able to call here, I don't think. So they just call, and they have aces. Aces don't really have a tough decision with that bet size. Yeah, I don't think that bet size really does. It does allow like an 8x and a 7x to call. It's not getting aces to fold, but can we even get aces to fold here? We'd have to jam. We'd have to jam to get aces to fold here. For sure. And when we jam, we're kind of sometimes owning ourselves when they have, you know, a 9. But how often do they have a 9? They pocket 9s, yeah. They got pocket 9s for sure. Ace 9 suited. Maybe 10-9 suited from 22 bigs there. 8-9 suited, yeah. They probably got a decent amount. Let's go ahead and dig in here. Let's see what we can find out. In the old machine. I think I'm kind of Carney Prince. I think that with the sizing I chose, this like half pot sizing here, I don't think that I really am getting too many hands to fold. So it almost feels like by me betting this sizing on the river, it carries no value because it's not serving as a bluff or getting hands that I want to fold as a bluff. So it's almost like I am just thin value betting versus the ace 7 suited, ace 8 suited type of stuff. Like that's all that this bet feels like it has to it. It feels like it doesn't have too much else. So that makes me, it's like not a diverse bet. So I do feel like I like jam a little bit more in this moment now. Johnny Ringo, welcome back. Thank you for the 49 months. Cheers, buddy. Let's see what we can find out though. All right, so in the river comes a 6. We're looking at the river bet sizing after the turn went check, or even if we should be betting this river. River decision after turn goes check, here. And king 10 offsuit. Okay. And it looks like, let's look at our specific hand for a second. It mostly likes betting our hand, but you can see there's multiple shades. The green is the check, and then everything else here is bet. So it likes to majority bet the king 10 here, but the preferred size is 3. So it does like when betting the river, betting at 3. And thinking about that, yeah, if I'm betting 4.3 and they're probably folding the same as 3 blinds, then especially on this type of board, I like 3 better. I like smaller. I don't think that this bet really serves this side. I mean, it's 3.8, whatever, it's 3, but I think closer to a third is going to be much easier to replicate, you know, that sizing, kind of understanding the situation. Like, I don't know if I clicked a third and up or like what exactly the sizing is, honestly, but yeah, I definitely like 3, sticking closer to a third pop better, and that is the high suggestion. And then the next suggestion, this is cool, bet 1 blind. Bet 1 blind into this pop. I like that suggestion. I think that's cool. You're definitely not going to lose those worst hands. You're gonna block some other hands from not betting at you big. I definitely just like 3 better. I mean, it's cool to see that they like the idea of this 1 blind bet with our hand. I think of the function of that for me, I might be using that just to block the situation. I'm just like, I don't know what this person has. I'm just gonna bet a blind. Yeah, I bet 3.8. What's up, Papa Hotshot? What if he re-raised the river? I think we just fold. I think it's just an easy fold if they raise this river, honestly. Especially thinking about population of players out there. They're just not finding the bluffs, like honestly, in these sketchy situations. Especially live poker, less online, but live poker 100%, man. People are not finding these thin raises in the majority of tournaments that you and I are gonna get exposed to. And the high rollers and whatnot, they will. And in some of the higher buy-in tournaments during the summer when, you know, competition can be greater in a WSOP bracelet event or a WPT event, whatever it might be, you know, you might have to worry about some opponents finding a bluff versus you here because you chose a small sizing. But the majority of people aren't, and you could just like fold and just be completely fine. It's annoying, you know, just laugh and fold versus a raise here. Let's see though, what would we do, and what does the solver here say when they jam? What are they bluffing? Let's see. Let me see something. Hang on a second. That 1. Whoops. Oh my gosh, I just misclicked. So that's not a thing. Hang on a second. I just misclicked. Check. Call 10 of diamonds. Sorry, everyone. And and 6 of hearts. Okay, now I bet 0.5, and then what are their all-in hands? They just don't even have any, man. Look at this. What is this? What is their stacking over? Why is it saying all-in 2118? Okay, yeah. So yeah, what do we got here? You can see the ones that are kind of highlighted in the text. The 9x, of course. It likes the ace 10 all in versus our small bet. Let's see, the jack, blocking the jack 9. King queen here. All in, definitely a notable percent. King queen suited, let's say diamonds. Yep, it likes turning into a bluff even with diamonds, huh? People just aren't finding these ones, man, I don't think. So as bluffs, the question was when we bet river and we get jammed on here instead, what do we do with this hand? And I just think, honestly, I think it's a pretty easy fold versus the majority of people. That said, I like, yeah, I think it's just bet third pot fold versus the majority of people. And I think that, yeah, I think that's like the most liked play here. I don't mind jamming either if we think our opponent very specifically has like a 1 pair aces hand. Like if we're gonna go for it, go for it. Let me see what the suggestion is for us as far as jamming on the river when it goes check check. Nothing. It doesn't have any jams in this strategy. 2x. That makes me sad, man. Seriously, what are we doing? We don't ever want to just put this opponent all in the situation after the turn goes check check. Maybe try to get the aces to fold. Try to get the 7 8 or 6 7, maybe actually 6 7 aces, kings to fold to check this turn. Queens, jacks. We're not trying to get those hands to fold at all. Or do we just think we could do it with this pot size bet? What are we pot size betting? The 9s, of course, when we hit the straight. So right here, and then turning the 1 pair hands into bluffs, right? The missed stuff. Pot. Okay, pot feels like it's gonna function pretty well as a bluff for these other ones. We don't need to jam here to get the job done, but it does feel like pot is much better in practice than this 3.5. What are we doing? 3.5. No 9s, huh? We want to get more value with the 9x. We do still have some of the 9 that doesn't mind the smaller. 10-5 value bet. 10-7 value bet. 8-5 value bet. 2 pair. See, so this is just like, we're seeing that it likes more of this like weak 2 pair stuff. It likes the smaller sizing, like a third of the pot. We're trying to get called by worse 2 pair. And then our bluffs are these hands where we're basically just like trying to get the king X here, trying to get some like ace highs to fold. Yeah, 10-7 off. Second top 2, 10-8 off. Yeah, you know what? Looking at this, thinking about the population of live players in like medium to low stakes and online, I think I I think I just like pot better. I like having the like big bet in there. I think in this situation, I like the idea of being able to, like, as an overall strategy, having it in my mind and kind of calibrating that I want to go bigger here. Bet pot versus like a third on this board. I like that on my image. I like that on my image. To get aces to fold, aces and kings, especially if it's a good player that's going to be checking turn. You know, players that we think might just be scared and will now fold. Like, I like a third if I think, oh, this guy's a station, but I got to try to bluff some of their stuff. I'll bet a third. But if I think it's a more capable player or a player I want to put in a tough spot, I like the pot size bet. When I have a 9 and it's a player that is going to be calling with 2 pair no matter what, I like the pot size bet. I like the pot size bet more, I think, overall in this spot. Like, just as a default setting for the games that I'm playing. Even the cash games, like at Rounders, for sure. Think about the value of a pot size bet on this river, especially when it goes check, check on the turn. Bluffs, yeah. Yeah, I definitely, I think in practice, I really like the idea of, because we're kind of looking at the solver output here, as far as our betting goes on the river, the 2 heavy favorite sizings at 8.5 into a 9.5 blind pot, 16.6% of our hands. And then 17% we have for the smaller bet. So same. I think I like in practice this bigger bet size here. So I might just look to utilize that more and then exploit with the, well, exploiting with that sizing overall. Maybe I just don't even use the, it'll just be rare. A rare beggy third pot. I don't know, that's where I'm at right now. I kind of like that idea of that. Let's see. And then, yeah, so we bet. And aces made an easy call. Limp raise, as far as the, you recently got funds from the integrity department, ACR. So there was a batch of, I actually will pull this up too, but there was a batch of refunds that came due to accounts that were violating the terms of service on ACR. Where is the link? Let me get you this link. Hang on a second. And you must have got hit in the most recent batch. Let me find the link and I might be able to give you more info on that. But yeah, just a notice from the ACR Game Integrity Department. Let me see if I can find this tweet quick. Because there's a link on the ACR website. They wrote an article, I believe, about this. Let me see. I'll show you my Twitter scroll here, but I don't want to make anyone dizzy. I think I might have it over here. Let me find this now that we're talking about it, because that's a good question and that's definitely a hot topic. The integrity stuff. What is this? Okay, here we go. No, limp raise actually, as far as whoever said nice. Oh, I see. Machine Savage said nice. Limp raise said not that nice. Means cheaters on the site, possibly more. No, actually, I don't know how much you are active, limp raise, on Twitter, but it's actually been great news because the thing is, whatever it is online that we're playing, there's always going to be some people trying to beat the system, trying to hack the system, trying to cheat the system, whatever kind of gaming thing, especially if there's any sort of financial gain to be had. even in situations that there's not financial gain to be had, there's going to be people who are going to, try to break the system one way or another. And ACR has gone back and forth over the years as far as, along with other operators, this is not just an ACR thing. This is an online operator, poker operator in this specific instance as a whole, fighting this fight and choosing whether or not to speak on a subject in detail or not, because you don't want to give away information about your hand and what you know, etc., like what's going on. But ACR chose to send out this message recently to let people know, to the community, that things are being done and they are taking steps and things are getting better. And there has been a lot of feedback on the internet from other trusted professionals in the industry who have in this year most recently started working closer with ACR and trying to point out these bad actors, these people who are violating the terms of service one way or another, and getting them removed from the site. So they've very strategically chosen spots to mention it, because the refunds have happened and they've not got sent out messages, but they chose to send out a message this time to, I think, in my opinion, I'm speaking from my side, I think, to let people know, hey, we're still working. Don't worry. We're going to keep fighting the fight. And I'll drop this link in the chat if you want to read more about that. Okay. And let's get to some more hands here. I'll drop both in the YouTube chat and in the Twitch chat. So I do actually think, from my stance, that it is nice and cool and good to see that from time to time. What's up, Lenny? How's it going? I don't know, but I imagine the different skins on the network, that it's not just that easy, and there's going to be innocent people that are kind of caught in the crossfire, so it's just not that simple. But I believe that they're working on it. Well, I know that they're working on it. To what extent and to what focus, I obviously can't speak to. I have no idea. How would we play differently if you had aces in this hand? Well, the thing about this hand is I would have re-raised pre-flop with aces. So in this exact hand as played, I don't have aces. But if I 3-bet aces here and then they just called, I'm just betting flop and getting it all in, or betting flop and then betting turn to call off to get it all in. Just whatever way, I basically, if I had aces here, I'm re-raising and then just betting to try to get it all in, or checking if I think that'll help me get all in. I'm just never folding, especially when they just call me here on that stack depth after I 3-bet them pre-flop. I mean, just whenever they call, it wouldn't matter on this side if I had aces. Maybe you mean more specifically, though, on the river. If I bet, I think I'm getting it all in, because the turn is not going check check when I have aces. So we don't really ever arrive to the river here, and the turn goes check check and I have aces. So I'm not ever going to be in this spot. So that's like food for thought from this side. Our opponents are just like never going to have aces here in this spot, right? Out of position when they bet here like this, they're just not going to have aces. I would imagine that we are checking to call with aces on the river, hoping our opponent has some bluffs. All right, Polish Pete. What's up, C-Bet Champ? How's it going? Let's go ahead, Pete, and check out your hand, buddy. We got a redemption. So thanks, Pete. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Pete has a hand. He used his points. And we're going to pull up our Discord. We're going to go into the poker hand section. And this is just happened in the Boski, apparently. Okay, so this is Pistol Pete in the chat. Kevin Chicago on the table. Let's see what we have. Ace 9. 100 bigs, raise. Call, flop, trip, 9s. Check, flop. People are pretty deep. I'm trying to think if I want to raise here. Definitely want to raise here some. Try to get max value from massive nuts when they have like kings and whatnot. Hands that have to call when we raise. If this opponent, I maybe go like 8, 9, maybe 9, 8 or 9 here. Will apply enough pressure to this opponent, but they can still call if they want. Leaves room for them to make a light call. We're way ahead here. We got the ace of hearts. I could see check call, but then how are we going to play? We have to check raise turn. Multi-ways, how often is it going to be betting? You know, we got to check raise turn because we're not going to be check call leading, I don't think. Yeah. Go for the raise to 12, and then we get the jam. Very nice. Wow. They're just in the streets here. They thought you were bluffing. They thought you were bluffing, buddy, huh? No way. Oh, no, don't do it. Oh, my gosh. They did it to you, huh? Hey, sometimes that's going to happen. Sometimes people are just going to launch in the Boski. Geez, let me run like this. This ace-8 of clubs. Let me have the heart of this player. And then the run good. And it is all good. Who said that? Oh, Carney, you think they misplayed aces? I can understand why they checked turn with aces. I would be looking to continue to value bet there and just get in personally. Let's see here. Let's see if they should be checking turn. I can see why they might want to check turn if they don't want to get it all in. I think they check turn because it's a good board for us and they don't want to have to bet call off to try to manage their tournament life. I think is the function of that there. So let's see. Turn comes 8-7-5. They bet. I call. The turn is a 10 of diamonds. And then now I'm going to check and we're going to see here. Should aces ever be checking this turn in theory? And yeah, aces is splitting. Mostly flipping a coin here between betting and checking. I think it makes sense with the board type on the turn. Like I said, we're going to connect with this a lot. They don't want to be in a situation where they are having to bet call versus a board where it can really connect with us. So it's kind of like just mixing 50-50. So I don't think that their check on the turn is making a huge mistake at all. And you know what? Honestly, if this was, I'll show you if I were to like split and pick. Okay, I know I have to flip a coin here and bet aces and check aces on this turn. Let's say I just know, okay, now how do I decide? I think that one easy way to decide is if this is in late registration here and I have aces, I'm just betting and getting it in, trying to double up. If this is maybe final table of the Venom, and this is a very sketchy turn, I have 19 bigs. I definitely don't want to be at risk in a mediocre spot here for my stack. If I bet turn with aces and then they happen to jam on me, I might now check. So that's kind of like an easy spot, I think, a differentiation for me to think about betting aces on this turn and what type of spot it puts me in, and if I want to be in that spot at that stage in the tournament. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go on to the next one. Kings. Oh, we got a pretty one. Raise. They have 44 blinds. We got to re-raise here. We make it 10. They call. Top set of kings. They check to us. Of course, we bet. And this is a 3-bet pot, right? Yep, raise, 3-bet, call, check. I bet small, 6 blinds. How does this set us up? If I bet 6 blinds here and they call, that's going to put 33 blinds in the middle and they will have 31 behind. I feel like yeah, this is a 3rd potish, probably pretty standard. And then we're looking to go 3 streets with this hand. Maybe we only get 2 versus most hands, and maybe we want to bet bigger on this flop so we can try to get it in on turn, put in a bigger bet on the turn. But if we're going 3 streets, I think like that, like 3 smaller streets, basically 33 blinds in the middle. They have 31 behind. Let's see what I do. And then I jam. I don't like this. Even though I would want to do this as a bluff to try to get, like, if I had Jack 10 or Queen Jack here personally on this turn spot, I do like doing this to try to get a 9 to fold, maybe even try to get some clubs to fold. There'd be a value there if I didn't have the clubs, or if I happen to have 3-bet. Geez, Jack 10 suited, Queen Jack suited. Maybe Jack 10 suited I like here as a jam. But I'm not really doing this with too much of my value, right? I mean, obviously I'm doing it with kings here, but then, like, what can they call with? I've got this board crushed. They don't even have, like, king, queen suited here. I don't think I like this jam. What do you think, chap? What's up, Bob Turner? Yeah, cheers. I'm glad you connected with that example. Yeah, I don't like this jam. And they fold. Ugh. I don't like this. I don't like this. Let's run it back. Let's start at the flop here. I want to calibrate, because I can't say that I am in this situation a lot. Small blind raises. We 3-bet big blind. How often are you 3-betting in the big blind here versus a small blind raise? I would bet population, us as a whole. I would say that we're not 3-betting enough. Even just like the feel right here, looking at it. Right, like, think about it real quick. What else are you 3-betting here when it's not kings? What are your 3-bet bluffs here from this stack depth? Right? I need to brush up here. I'm glad we're looking at big blind. And I'm glad this spot came up too. I need to be better here in the big blind with 3-betting. They just call. Because I bet we could probably, in this situation, it's not like a, oh, there was a raise, I 3-bet, oh, I see bet a third. This is different situation here. It's mono y mono, blind versus blind, in position, right? 3-bet call. What's their range look like here? Yeah, so I bet I'm gonna kind of, I feel like third pot is like whatever. We've seen enough examples where you can kind of just default to it and you're gonna be right enough at the time. It's fine. But I feel like this might be a situation where we could even just bet bigger. Like, maybe the default is different. Let's take a look here. This is the first thing we want to look at. C-bet sizing. What's up, Nick? How's it going? If villain is opening GTO small blind range, it's a polarized one, so even you 3-bet polarized in response, you use a small size. Okay, let's see this. So let's start with the pre-flop sizing then, actually. What's up, Nick? Let's see. So we went to 10. And let's see here. Oh, what happened to my hand? Okay, so let's go ahead and actually start pre-flop. Gets to small blind, they raise. And then the old pocket kings. What is this? 25 bigs? This is not 25 effective. Hang on a second. This is 50, 45, 50. Let's look at 50. Okay, there we go. So folds, 50 bigs. We're looking at chip EV. Small blind raised to 3.5, and the suggested sizing is 9. We went 10. So can stick to, what is the 10 here? Am I trying to push a leverage point more? No, that doesn't make sense, no. 10, 3. Maybe it was like 3x since I did 3.2. Maybe it went like 9.6 and I clicked up potentially. Yeah, we're probably splitting. What did Nick say? What did you suggest here? What do you like, Nick? The sizing. I'm looking here. Carney Prince says I 3-bet 6.5 blinds or so. Oh no, Nick, we are, no, that's okay. That's what this is. This is not a Drew is coaching, Drew is teaching stream. This is a study stream. So we're all here together. And please, definitely talk in the chat. Everyone ask questions. If you are a studied player or not, either or, your comments are great, because really just want to induce conversation. I want personally for me, what I want to get out of these study sessions are, I want my thoughts to be moving. I want to kind of constantly be calibrating and thinking about different situations and getting into that poker strategic headspace, thinking about still having fun with it too. Also, being a little bit of an artist and trying to think about how I want to adjust for the summer, playing live poker, like online, making sure my defaults are decent and kind of moving. So the conversation's great because I just want to be provoked, or like to think, induced to like think about a situation differently. Let's see, a maximum 9. Carney likes 9 too. Okay, cool. So let's see. So like I said, theoretically wants to see 9 for the raise here. And then we did bring this up. What is our opponent just calling when we re-raise here? And the books say the suited ace X, king X, queen X that we're opening, the jack X. So a lot of the suited stuff that opens from the small blind at the 50 blind stack depth wants to call, except the worse suited stuff. This blue area over here is all folds. So when we raise from the small blind versus a 3-bet with we raise here with the jack 10 suited, 10-5 suited. A lot of people probably not finding this raise from the small blind, probably completing and just being happy about it. But yeah, if we did raise it, we're folding that out. The 8x below, basically. Some 9x here, actually, the offsuit stuff. You can see queen 9, jack 9, king 8, queen, all of this kind of area here of the offsuit that we would have opened. We're now folding. And this section down here, no man's land, where you see nothing highlighted because we're just not raising that from the small blind. So we're not in this situation. But we do see our opponent is calling a lot of what they're raising. I think that's one thing that we can pull apart, even if we're assuming our opponents are just not raising this weakest suited stuff and a good bit of this offsuit stuff. Now, when our opponent raises, if they're continuing properly, they just have a lot of continues versus our 3-bet. So to answer our question earlier, when it's like, oh, what does our opponent have here versus a 3-bet when they just call? It's like, feels like quite a bit. The answer is, just the stuff that they raised, whatever they raised. But the big key here is when they don't re-raise now and they just call. If they're playing theoretically sound, it means that they are going to be capped now when they just call our 3-bet. They're going to not have jacks plus. They're not going to have their jacks, queens, kings, aces, even though we could see aces is doing a bit of calling here to protect the calling range, to kind of keep it uncapped, even though I'm saying it's, for those of you who are wondering what I mean by capped, it's like the ceiling, it stops, once we go 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, like it stops right there. The ceiling is capped, right? For like how strong of a hand they can have. So we can kind of see that. And that's why they want aces to call here sometimes, to protect that and not make that be so true. But yeah, I mean, pretty much when they call, they just have everything they raised with except the very top. And that's what it is here. So we are a big favorite. We flop top set. And what's the sizing here? It checks to us. What's up, Neo Palua? How are you? Oh, cool. Nice. That's cool feedback. Nick says that in a blind versus blind 3-bet pot, where you 3-bet a polarized range, where I re-raise in the big blind, polarized with my best hands and worst hands, most of your bluffs won't have enough equity to shove turn. So Nick would play his entire range as a 3-street game. So this is cool because this is chess right here. That thought, if you're listening and you hear that, that is chess thoughts for sure. because you can see here Nick already kind of knows how this hand is going to play out. He has a scope and knows, okay, in the situation from the stack depth, you know, I'm playing this hand 3 streets, and that's pretty awesome because if we can already get to that space, now it's just like, okay, how are you an artist over those 3 streets? How do you want to bet those 3 streets generally? Because now, you know, you have 3 betting streets. So how do you divvy up the effective chips that remain? And in this situation, there's 37 bigs behind. So now how do you want to break that up over the 3 streets? You know, now it's like, okay, yeah, now we're just like probably betting what, a third. Let me see, a third is Geo pretty much, right? Let me see, a third, 11, 20, maybe a little bit more on the turn we'd need. No, 11, 55, 22. It gets kind of close. Yeah, so maybe it's around a third that we could just like bet 3 streets and then we're like getting it all in on the river. Third-ish. Cool, let's see now. Small blind calls. And the turn is a 7 of hearts. Oops. We're gonna do flop. Hang on a second. King 9. Dewey. Clubs. Clubs. Small blind checks. And we bet. We actually, in this spot, bet. What do we bet? 6 into. Yeah, 6 into 20. So we went like a little less than third-ish. Which is, it's like it's got half pot. 5 quarter likes quarter better, huh? So definitely leaning towards going 3 streets, favoring the smaller sizing. Or actually, wait, did it favor? Oh, we like, yeah, okay, it did. The 4.75. Okay, now small blind. Calls, turn is 7 of hearts. Yeah, we're gonna look at the smaller sizing on this one, 7 of hearts. And then small blind checks. And then this is where we just super mega blundered. Holy crap, I can't even believe it. So it's so greedy. I want to say greedy. That's like the optimistic way, I think, to talk about it. Greedy, or positive connotation, is definitely greedy here. They just can't call with anything, man. Do the exploit bluff jam here just to get them to fold. Oh, that's cool, Nick. Well, how funny is that, man? I bet your computer's like listening to you and stuff. Like you're watching the stream and then all of a sudden you open up ACR and it happens to be me through the like the scrolling marquee that comes up. I'm telling you, man. I bet it's also targeted though. Feels like it would be smart, like in certain ACR when you like open the client and everything. In, you know, other parts of the country, it will, like in Poland, for instance, it would 70% of the time open up to like Monaco or something. I don't know. That feels like that would be smart. Like people in San Antonio, I feel like, have told me at rounders, like, oh, I opened up the client and I saw you. I feel like they kind of like some geolocation thing. They're like, oh, you know, like show Drew since he lives in San Antonio, you know, X amount of the time or something like that. Maybe I'm just creating that and that's like not a thing, but it feels like it could be a cool thing. How's my UK audience? I don't know, man. I don't know. I got some close friends from the UK, man. I know there's at least a few people, non-zero, definitely, you know, non-zero UK audience. But cheers, man. Okay, let's see how much of a blunder this is. What's our strategy? So there's no all-ins here, okay? The GTO wizard says no all-ins, Drew. Get a grip, man. My bad. I don't like it this time either, man, because I've done some in the other hands earlier in this study session. I did some stuff that I was like, oh no, I kind of still like this, but I'm the GTO lizard right now. I'm with it. I'm with it. I will follow you, wizard. I dislike the jam as well. I dislike the jam as well. Very easy. Okay. So what are we preferring here on this turn? 33 blinds. They have 31 behind. I cover. And we'll look at kings specifically. Kings here specifically. We are this combo. King of hearts, king of diamonds. It likes 14 blinds. So it likes half pot. It likes half pot basically. Yeah. And checking with kings, huh? Oh wait, no. That's overall strategy. Never mind. I'm tripping out up here. Yeah. So it likes betting half pot. Getting our opponent more committed, I think, for the river. Setting up 2 streets. So if we bet half pot here, 15, well, 15, it will put 6, yeah, about a quarter. So they would have a quarter pot. So kings specifically, but our overall strategy, let's see what else likes betting half pot here on the turn. Besides kings, ace, king, aces. A lot of our queens likes half pot, huh? I guess to check river. The clubs primarily. Let's see, jacks. Likes the half pot, tens. Interesting. King X likes it. Okay, so let's see. I mean, it honestly, what is it like checking with? Because betting is ace queen suited. Check everything. Ace queen high, ace queen of clubs. Try to realize. King's not folding. Thinking about if I would have liked to jam ace queen of clubs here. 33 blinds in the middle, they have 31. Not getting a king to fold whenever they have a king here. I'll get a 9 to fold. And they definitely have some 9x. So yeah, so so the sizing here, I'm gonna plug this in and see. But Nick is saying likes the half pot because we're half pot on the river, so it's basically going GTO 2 streets, same sizing. What's up, King Agard? How are you, brother? Good to see you. 7 months. I hope you have been well, brother. It is good to see you. It is good to see you. Okay, let's go over here. Let's pick half pot. Let's pick half pot, and then our opponent's strategy is going to be a lot of calling and then folding their gut shots. So this is kind of the hand I'm most curious about, how it's responding to the half pot. Mostly folding the queen jack suited, queen 10 suited gut shots. Queen 10 off, queen jack off. Only calling the flush draw here with the queen jack, queen 10 suited, otherwise folding the offsuits to the half pot. Makes sense. Jack 10 suited with the double gutty, not going anywhere. All in with the jack 10 of clubs on the turn. It likes, I like that too. I think that's sexy. All the outs. King 9 suited just wants to call, huh? 2 pair, not looking to raise. Let our opponent continue to bluff. Just call with the 9x. I dig it, okay. Then actually what I want to see here now is what... Since we went all in here, now I'm curious because my thoughts were that if I was bluffing here with queen jack or queen 10 suited, maybe the jack 10 suited, would I would not want to try to get a 9x to fold, maybe for this sizing. Maybe I get a king 8 suited to fold when I jam on this turn potentially. I was trying to find some function, and if you know, we are even getting a 9 to fold when we are bluffing in this situation. And let's see, because I just put in here big blind all in for the 36 blinds. It's not a thing with kings, so kings is like, nope, I'm not even in this one. But let's see, small blind. When we jam, they are supposed to be calling their aces that would have just flatted our 3-bet pre-flop. the king X are all supposed to be calling when they have it, but we have king, so it's less likely they actually have it in this hand. But the 9X here, ace 9 is supposed to call. King 9 with 2 pairs supposed to call. Obviously, that's an easy one, but we're looking at just the single pair 9X. Ace 9 supposed to call. Queen 9's flipping a coin. 10-9's flipping a coin. 8-9 is flipping a coin. 9-6 is flipping a coin. And yeah, even the suited stuff, clubs is different. But yeah, so a lot of the 9X is flipping a coin, theoretically speaking. I think that a lot of players, that actually feels kind of population. It's like random. I'm not overly convinced that when we jam turn here that players are just going to let go of ace 9 per se. It would be an exploit, but I feel like okay, kind of flipping a coin that maybe I do get called by a 9 here. I'm thinking a little bit. The weaker 9s, I think they'll fold for sure. Stronger, the ace 9. I don't know that they're folding actually when we jam. We did get this opponent to fold. Oh, it's so painful to see me jamming here, looking at my hand. What's up, Arian? How are you? What's up, Grinder Girl? Choose King Agard. Yeah, things are good, man. Can't complain. Cannot complain. Oh, so to get it off the screen, man. Get it off the screen. Jeez. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you're enjoying the stream and you want to start using and getting to learn GTO Wizard more, you can type !GTOW in the chat. Or if you're on YouTube, you can look in the YouTube description. There's a link there. And on Twitch, if you're not around the chat, you want to come back later, you can scroll down in my bio on Twitch, and there is a link and a picture for you there. In game, Nick, the deciding factor to jam was, well, actually, I'll try to tell you what I think was going on. I think it was very, very greedy. And if I was on my game in this situation, the reason I jam here in game is because I want it to look, those bluffs that I was trying to justify my jam here on the turn with the Jack 10, the Queen Jack, like I would want to do those and try to get a 9 to fold. I basically am hoping that my image in this spot, or that I have some sort of history with this player, or maybe that I looked into their stats and they just make a bunch of calling mistakes, right? Like I'm basically trying to, oh my gosh, look at this fold turn bet stat. 82%. If I would have looked in real time at their folded turn bet, I'd never jam here. Because they're just going to be playing on the small sample, but they're not really betting the river. This looks like somebody who's playing fairly straightforward post flop. This is just not going to work versus them. But let's say that this is like some, I'm going to paint it this way, like a cash game whale, somebody who's just going to be calling off, and you know, you could just shovel chips into the middle and they're going to be, you know, making these calls. I like the jam there. In this moment, I must have thought that there was some sort of history. They're going to call me with a 9. This is going to look like a bluff, because why would I ever just jam, you know, for size of the pot essentially here? You know, it's obviously less likely that they have a king. If they have a king, they're not folding when I jam here, but that's quite greedy, I think, to think with my specific holding. But yeah, in game, I imagine I wanted to look bluffy to get called by worse, you know, to maybe get called by jacks, 10s, because this is interesting, I think, to think about here, actually jamming this turn. And this is very non-theoretical conversation now. This is more so like live poker, because if you're playing live poker too, you can manipulate this situation, because if people get suspicious of you and I make this big jam in this spot, I can get called by 10s here, jacks, queens, because I'm playing it way too fast. I think that whole thing can play out more in some live scenarios. And then if you have history, you've been battling with somebody online or live, and they're, you know that they're going to make some lighter calls versus you, when you play hands fast, and like this looks like I'm playing my hand super fast, and obviously I am, I think we can get some lighter calls. So it's very meta, I think, of me to be jamming here. That's probably the most accurate way for me to process and see what's going on here, because obviously it kind of like in theory and in practice, not being in the moment here, it's kind of like painful to see. But I do like the jam in those moments, and I will do, when I'm in flow and playing live or online, I will do some stupid stuff if I think that it can be viewed differently. What's up, Boogie? Welcome back. Thank you for the 29 months. Cheers, buddy. Yeah, Nick, if they're going to I think I agree with you about might be able to induce a raise by betting small. 100%. But you know those players too, I think on that thought, everyone, I think it's a really cool thought. It's like, if it's one of those opponents who's just making way more calling mistakes than aggro mistakes, they're just going to call that small bet all the time, right? And if I think they're leaning towards making calling mistakes, I'm looking to make max value per street, because once they miss their draws, you know, I'm not getting anything else on the river. But if they are capable of making aggressive mistakes, like if we have this information, maybe it's a default. I think I like the for sure smaller bet as a default, 100%. And I think the jam is just a deviation, a low frequency deviation that I hope to work sometimes, and we like sigh and we just like painfully like, oh, it didn't work that time. You know, you took such a gamble. It's a gamble to get called here. Really, I feel like with the jam. What's up, GT? No, says I just wanted to say one very important thing. Good vibes, my friend. Thanks for hanging out today with us. What's up, K Bruce? Says just shove it and act aggressive like you're daring them. Yeah, in a live poker setting, that could definitely be a thing. You can even hit someone. You could jam here in the situation and hit someone with the likes. Stare at them, or live poker is so funny, man. Like there's times where you could get into a conversation. Well, I had a friend who's very good at like live play. Depending on what he thought was going on in the hand, he would either talk to his opponent, not in like some aggressive like try to whatever type of thing, but you could like talk to someone, and if they think that you're talking and it's like overly confident, the fact that you're talking in general, you know, they might overfold. Or it's funny when people are trying to talk more, sometimes they're trying to get you to like fold, and sometimes they're trying to induce you. And there's, oh gosh, it's so sick, man. Some of these live players who really understand their image and they can utilize that information to get people to do what they want. It could be so sick. There's this one dude who, gosh, oh my, I can't remember his name right now, but he's got a very kind of like all over the place energy, and he could definitely come across as like one of those like Ms. you know, those guys who like play a lot and they're just like grumpy and grouchy all the time. And maybe sometimes they can kind of be annoying to be around. But some of those players really know their image, and they understand that people are going to spew versus them, and they could like bet small here and say something, or they can bet big on the river and start talking to their opponents, and their opponents, because of their image, are going to start calling them more because they like kind of want to shut them up. You guys ever been in those spots where you want to like call or beat somebody or jam on them to like get them to be quiet or to take a stand? Like that's such a funny and cool part about live poker, is how much that psychology and that stuff is going on. It's so cool. And it's not always just like, I feel like in that space, there's even just like simple things that are psychologically going on at the table, and that a lot of untrained live players or players that don't really think about it or care about that stuff, there's so much cool information that you can gather just from everything that's going on, just paying attention at the table, seeing people's hand positions during all the hands, like where are they putting their hands, what are they doing. Like there's these like live tells, it reads the way people posture, the way they're sitting, their card protectors on their cards now. I'm going on a rant here. You induced a rant with the small talk, small bet sizing. Yeah, but oh, it's so cool, man. It's so cool because I have so many notes on my phone, and we're just funny creatures, man. We're just funny creatures thinking about what makes us tick, how we respond to things, what's the baseline way that people respond to certain psychological cues. And live poker is very cool, man. It keeps me very fresh for my online poker, I'll tell you that. Nobody shuts up Renee. You are right, Sir Pogs a lot. I can't even believe how much energy Renee has to just be like constantly talking and whatnot. I'm sure it also is like fun for him, but he's also like working at the same time. You have to have, man, such an energy to do that. I wouldn't be able to keep up at his pace, man. I would not be able to. Creatures of habit, Hubie, yep, for sure. Exactly, GTO, no, that's the thing, man. Like, you're talking about the very classic Oreo example with KGB, but I mean, think about it. Like, how often would somebody be like comfortable enough to start eating food when they're bluffing? It's just like, oh, I feel like if you're bluffing, a lot of people, our subconscious instincts are going to draw us to try to like not move and not give away anything. Never mind, you're in the middle of bluffing and then you're just like on a call with your mom. You're just eating. You don't have a care in the world, right? Like, I don't know, the standard average like daily tournament player probably got it. they probably have it. What's up, Go Barty? Cheers. I'm glad you like the live poker streams from Rounders. Tomorrow there's going to be the Saturday PLO stream from 4 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. I will be walking you through with the commentary on that one. Oh boy. Oh, actually, so let's look at a lot of great conversation today. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Let's look at one more hand, and then what's going to happen. We're going to look at one more hand, and then we're going to end the study stream for today. I feel like we did have a lot of good conversation, though we didn't get through a ton of hands. But there is a tournament at Rounders tonight, part of their Cinco de Mayo series, and there is a chili pepper trophy to win. Let me show you this actually real quick. There is a chili pepper trophy to win. It is a 20K mystery bounty. Hannah and I are going to go over there in late reg. I plan to do some POV live streaming from the table for this tournament. I'm going to max late register and start with like 45 blinds, and I'll have you at the table. So I got to go like work on my new like stand and everything to do at the table to make sure I get it right. So hopefully I do, because I plan to come back later on stream and have you at the table with me. So if you're enjoying the stream, you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, you can hit the follow button and turn on notifications. But here is our buddy Brian. Actually, Brian plays on the Saturday PLO streams, and he won the 25K, the first event, and he got this Chile trophy. One with Ace Jack here. Brian chopped 4 ways, and then they played it out for the trophy, of course, and Brian ended up winning. But yeah, so we're going to be playing the second event. It's a 20K mystery bounty tonight, and it's in late registration now. It started at 6, but late reg goes to like 9 or something. But we're going to head over to that. So we're going to do one more hand, and we're going to do that. Yeah, sick trophy. I agree. I really like it. It's like, oh, how do you not play it? I don't care if it's like a 1K guarantee. They're like cool little chili trophy. Come on, man. Let's see. Okay. All right, defend the ace 4 off. We got 40 bigs. Flop comes ace deuce 9. So my thoughts here, I think I'm going to be doing just a lot of check calling down, or when the turn goes check check, I'm just going to be betting river. That's how this is going to work out a lot. Thanks for the good luck, guys. Let's see. Check. They bet. I call. Check. They bet. I call. This small sizing is making me want to actually raise this turn. We're definitely going to run this one versus this one blind flop bet. Should we ever raise? Versus the turn like 1.5 blinds. Should we ever raise? Are they ever betting an ace like this? I'm not convinced. I feel like we should be considering raising here on the turn. Flush comes in on the river. They jam. Oh, what a beast. Oh my gosh. What do we do here, everyone? Dang, exploited the crap out of me. 1 blind, 1.5 blinds, and then jam river for 38 blinds. I have 38 blinds. They have 119, but they're only risking 38 blinds here in an 11 blind pot. What are you doing? BN Willius says fold. Ginger, C. You know. Fold. It's so painful, man. No way. Come on. What are they bluffing with here? This is like a very not common line. I almost don't want to talk about it. I like their line though, because it's so absurd. I think people will just like way overfold to this line that they took. I just think they will way overfold. I do not think that they have a flush here. Why would they play their flush like this? To try, you know, this is just like me if they have a flush here, this is just like me jamming the turn with the top set of kings. It's to look bluffy to get called. To have somebody make a big hero call and to get like a way bigger return on your investment here. Do they ever have a flush here? I feel like the answer is no. But what are they betting like that? 1 blind, 1.5 blinds, and it's so funny that I love their line. I hate their line. I love their line. So it looks like, oh, this is so funny. Okay, we have to plug this one. Of course we have to. I'm not going to show you what I did yet. I don't remember what I did here. But I know how I feel right now watching this back. This is so funny, man. You know, on their side of this as well, when they jam river, I check called twice. I'm check raising 2 pair, aren't I? If I happen to have ace deuce, ace 9, ace king, king deuce, king 9 on the turn versus just call another 1.5 blind bet. Do you see what I'm saying? So they're I mean, maybe I have some flushes, some weak flushes, some like 4, 5 of hearts and whatnot here. 5, 6 of hearts. Maybe I do have some flushes. They can't completely remove that, but they probably can remove, except maybe ace 8, like 2 pair out of my range mostly. So their jam is kind of cool, right? If they think that they're just going to get me to fold a bunch. I don't know that this jam, I think, how often are they going to put me on an ace? If I hit a flush here, I was in position, I was going for that silly value. Versus somebody, you know, who I think is never going to fold an ace. But I mean, how often can we assume that? Oh, dang, I clicked forward. Okay, so I folded. All right, let's see what's going on in this hand, man. We got some dissecting to do. It's Showtime says fold. Gobardi says king X with 1 heart. GTO says 2 pair plus. Yeah, Gobardi, maybe with the king of hearts, huh? When the flush comes in. So let me see, where are we at here? We are showing, the river came at 8 of hearts. I checked. GT, no, thanks for the follow, by the way. Appreciate it. Let's see, so they really shouldn't. So this is a deviation by them. In their strategy, they really shouldn't have any jamming, which actually kind of makes me a little sad for them. I like the idea of this jam. And as you can see, the fact that we're just in pain with an ace here makes me feel like there should be some jamming going on here, like a jamming strategy, potentially. Unless we just call down here. We're just supposed to call down all the time. And this is just like always a bluff. Like, I don't think we can say always a bluff, even though I don't think that they do much for value for this jam here when they go with this. What should they mostly be doing? 27% towards bet 10. So wants to see it on a bigger size bet mostly, and then their range, and then checking back half of it. But when they do choose to bet, it likes 10 blinds. Let's see here. What's up, Mr. Poker? How's it going tonight? All right, sounds good, Polish. They went all in. Now, let me see. I just can't imagine that strategically. Wow, look. This is interesting, man. So when we are faced with this jam versus these small bet sizings, it has us folding all of our aces. It's not worth it. It would seem it's not worth it for us. See this blue here on all of our offsuit stuff that we have, including the ace 4 off, which is what I have, and even the suited aces here that we have. It even has 2 pair. It even has ace 8 suited here. Look at this. The ace 8 of diamonds that we might have here in our spot versus the 3x pot jam. It even has us folding. It's not like all the time calling here with 2%. So the value of their jam, man, is it gets us to fold so much 1 pair hands, even some 2 pair hands in this situation. So much of the time we just fold so much. And what does it like having us call here? Just when we hit our flush with the king high, it has us calling. It basically, we're just supposed to this jam fold so much, and we are theoretically only calling, I mean, slivers with our 1 pair hands. It's not giving us a lot of 2 pair. And when we even do have it, it's just assuming that this jam is like super value heavy. Wow. Just can't use this as a bluff. Or just can't use this as value. This jam here, it just has to be a bluff. I think even though theoretically this is a correct fold by me, I just don't I just don't think that. I think knowing how we're supposed to respond here, players just can't think that they're getting called here with this line to make this a hand where they want to get called, to make this value here. It just feels like it serves in so many ways. It's just like a good bluff that we're just supposed to call even though we're supposed to fold. This is a spot, man. I need to screenshot this. We need to get Boski on this hand of the day. Because this is a population thing here. Basically, I think what I need more information on is, well, how do we think the population of players are utilizing this bet size? I mean, this is probably one of those things too that's such low frequency, it's not really worth our time or energy to look at. Population question hand for Twitter. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you could feel where I'm leaning towards. This just isn't value. I should just call, even though theoretically we're like overfolding. Very interesting spot. Very interesting spot for me. Nice. Let's go, BN, will ya? You got one right? I'm sure you got more right. It's interesting, the conversations, though, because really what we're trying to do is, I feel like, empower ourselves to know when to deviate, know when, like, what the variables are in all these decisions that we're making, so that we can adjust them and realize how adjusting certain variables can affect the way we should respond in situations. So it's very, very cool. Let me see. Build a stack and do this shove all the time. For value, Ginger, you're saying? The Russian players tend to build a stack and do the shove all the time. So are they doing this to just like pick up chips, knowing that nobody's ever calling them? They're like, that's awesome by them if they are. But man, versus the right player, they might make some tough calls. I hope you call with an ace. Yeah, potentially. GT, no, yeah, the 2-pair jam, hoping to call it an ace. I could see that. They don't always have it. Okay, Ginger, cool. Polish pistol, yeah, we're not going to go through any more hands here for today. We'll take a look here. Let's see. Oh, here, I don't know what the video is, buddy. Oh, so Polish Pistol, I see your video, buddy, and you have to change your what is it called? The size of your like desktop stuff. If your lobby is not going up high enough and the lobby is too big that it's like going off your screen, then you have to go into your display settings on like your it looks like your laptop there, and change the resolution. That's what the word is. Change the resolution on your computer, or maybe I don't know if in the ACR settings you can change. I don't have mine up. The resolution, but if the lobby's too big, then that has to do with your computer thing. Maybe close and reopen your client, and that might open it back up for you. Alrighty, what's up, Fade Out? Thanks for the follow. All right, everyone. I am going to get ready for the live tournament that we got at Rounders Card Club. My plan is to stream from the table POV. So I will, like I said, follow the stream if you want to turn on notifications for that. If you want to hang out with us there, I am going to... Oh, look, this is cool. If you want to continue to study, looks like Longcar is studying right now as well. So we're going to keep it going. Check this out. Fellow ACR Team Pro, my good friend Michael Longcar, is doing a hand history review right now on his stream. So I'm going to send you all over there. So show him some love, say what's up. I appreciate everybody hanging out today. I will, hey, Anakin, good to see you. And yeah, I appreciate all the vibes today. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and we'll catch up with you later. All right, good vibes. God bless. Peace. See you.